Part 55. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 541. The mountains are blocked by ice and snow, and Feng Qingxiu cannot walk. The same goes for the cultural troupe, which needs to rehearse, perform, and express condolences to the border guards every day. Later, Feng Qingxiu learned that supplies were delivered in summer and autumn, and in winter and spring, the mountains were blocked by heavy snow. Even though the camp was not in the deep mountains, the supply truck had to pass through mountains on the way. No wonder they drove from the train station to the camp. For so long, Feng Qingxiu was filled with the joy of getting together with Lu Jiang. Feng Qingxiu didn't pay attention to the surrounding environment. Only now did she realize that it was really inconvenient to get in and out of the camp. It was inconvenient to get in and out. Feng Qingxiu thought she wouldn't be able to buy anything, but when she walked around the camp, she discovered that the army actually had a store, which was similar to a canteen and sold some simple daily necessities, tobacco, alcohol, candies, etc. At the beginning of the month, Lu Jiang's salary and allowance tickets were issued, and Feng Qingxiu entered the store with Guo Xiuying, who was not on duty. Sister-in-law, Han Ping, Sang Hong, and the soldiers who were selling things saluted them. Feng Qingxiu nodded in return, while Guo Xiuying returned a military salute. Xiao Han, Xiao Sang, what are you two doing here? Guo Xiuying asked. Han Ping smiled honestly and patted his head. Aren't we going to pay wages? I'll buy some delicious food for Zibao. Yes, Zibao is so lovable, Sang Hong continued, thinking of the cute little fat guy who took turns in everyone's arms every day. A little smile appeared in his eyes. Feng Qingxiu was stunned and said hurriedly, don't spoil him. You have worked hard to guard the border, endured the raging wind and sand for a long time, and endured a lot of training every day. You have been paid and have tickets. How much more can you do? Buy yourself some delicious supplements and don't worry about Zibao. He is too fat and I'm just trying to get him to lose weight. As soon as they heard about weight loss, everyone in the store, including Guo Xiuying, said in unison, weight loss. What is weight loss? Do you want to starve Zibao? That won't work. It's not easy to be so fat. If you lose weight, they will feel bad. The soldier behind the counter quickly handed Han Ping and Sang Hong what they wanted and collected the money and tickets. Han Ping bought a can of malted milk, and Sang Hong bought a pound of high-end milk candies, and stuffed them into Feng Qingxiu's hands. Sister-in-law, take them back to Zibao to eat. We went to work. It's New Year's Day, there will be delicious food in the evening, don't forget to bring Zibao out. Fearing that Feng Qingxiu would not accept it, the two of them were like frightened rabbits, disappearing in a flash. Feng Qingxiu chased for a few steps but failed to catch up. Holding malted milk and toffee, she stood at a loss. Lu Jiang always said that soldiers in the army lived a difficult life. Under such difficult conditions, the first thing they did after they were paid was to buy things for Zibao, and the products they bought were all high-priced goods. How could she not be moved by this deep friendship? Guo Xiuying stood behind her in the store and said, if they give it to you, just take it. These two boys are able to feed themselves and the whole family is not hungry. They usually help their comrades who live in poverty in their hometown. Hearing what she said, Feng Qingxiu felt even more guilty. If one person has enough to eat and the whole family is not hungry, then there is no one at home and he joins the army all alone. Okay, come back and buy the things we want to buy. Wait a little longer until all the soldiers are free, and things will be in short supply, Guo Xiuying said, turning around and pointing at her target. Xiao Wang, give me a pound of those walnut crisp biscuits, and give me 2 packs of Daqianmen, and 2 bottles of Maotai. The wine label is here, you can see it clearly. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 542. Xiao Wang smiled and said, "Sister-in-law, I don't have to worry about what you brought me even if I don't look at it." Having said that, he still dutifully checked the authenticity of the batch note, turned around and took the Dakianman and Mutai wine to the wooden counter, and weighed another pound of walnut cake. "Sister-in-law, what else do you want to buy? Just tell me, isn't it New Year's Day? I have put out a lot of things that I was reluctant to take out before. And Brigadier Lu's sister-in-law, what do you need?" With space to support him, Feng Qingxiu had no shortage of food and clothing, but he came to buy things just to hide his eyes from others. "Bring me 2 rolls of toilet paper, the kind that cost 50 cents a roll. I also took the approval slip from your Brigadier Lu to ask the leader for approval, and brought me 2 bottles of the best Moutai, and if there is luncheon meat, 2 more cans of luncheon meat. The Moutai you buy now will be paid for by rich people at auction in a few decades. You should consider investing in Moutai, that's it." Xiao Wang took out what they wanted. After the transaction, he took out a pack of cheese from under the counter and handed it to Feng Qingxiu. "I didn't ask for it," Feng Qingxiu said. Xiao Wang said with a smile, "This is mine, not from the store. My sister-in-law took it back to Zibao to eat." When Feng Qingxiu heard this, she hurriedly waved her hands, very quickly, "No, no, Xiao Wang, you keep it for yourself. The things Xiao Sang and Xiao Han gave Zibao will be enough for a long time. Zibao has such a big reputation. That's not okay. If you accept Han Ping and Sang Hong's, you can't refuse mine. Otherwise, I will lose face in front of Zibao." Guo Xiuying immediately accepted it for Feng Qingxiu. "Xiao Wang, your sister-in-law lives alone in the family area now. When you and Brigadier Lu are free, you can go to their house and sit there. Zibao will definitely like you." Xiao Wang agreed immediately. After leaving the store, Guo Xiuying said to Feng Qingxiu, "Everyone lives a boring life, and Zibao is everyone's treasure. If you feel sorry, just give them some gifts in return. Don't let down their sincerity towards Zibao. Although when soldiers can sew and mend themselves, but most of their craftsmanship cannot be praised." The shoes on Xiao Wang's feet had 2 big holes. Han Ping was fighting with a Zhang on the border, and his legs were frozen in the ice and snow. Sang Hong suffered from joint pain. Sang Hong's military cotton padded jacket had several big holes and was patched one after another, Feng Qingxiu said. She had noticed it a long time ago. There were also patches on the front and back of her knees and buttocks. Guo Xiuying immediately laughed, "You have seen it all." Feng Qingxiu nodded. She had eyes and had been observing the conditions of the officers and soldiers under Lu Jiang's command. When she got home, she put down the things she bought and the things given by the soldiers, and Guo Xiuying also gave her the walnut cakes. A small pile of things, full of the sincerity of the big military family towards Zibao. What a happy boy. At home in the city, everyone likes him, but here, she doesn't need her as a mother to take care of him at all. There are plenty of people to take him around to play, watch people shooting targets, riding horses, etc. The soldiers in the camp came in turns and rushed to hug him and tease him when they had time. "How long have you been here?" His face turned a shade darker, and there were 2 clusters of red bloodshot eyes on his cheeks. "Wait, is it dark? Red bloodshot? Plateau red?" Feng Qingxiu stared blankly at Zibao, who was being sent to drink milk powder. She didn't care that he rushed to her like a cannonball and hugged her legs, shouting "Grandma," and watched the person who sent Zibao leave. Feng Qingxiu only had one thought in her heart, and that was who would bring back her fat and white son. Come back quickly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 543. Zibao was sitting on the Kong holding a milk bottle, while Feng Qingxiu was thinking about various remedies in her mind. She pays great attention to prevention. She wears a big scarf or a mask and a hat when going out. She moisturizes, sunscreens and protects her skin in private. She insists on drinking Rhodiola rosea oral liquid, and she is still a beauty with skin as white as snow. Zibao plays wildly outside every day, exposed to the wind and sun, and the things used by adults cannot be used by him, so the blackness is particularly obvious. A white and fat baby is cute, but a dark and fat baby is not necessarily so, but looks very funny. Lu Zhang led some soldiers to practice outside the camp. When he returned home in the evening, he saw his son running around the house, while his wife was chasing after him with a pair of palms as white as jade. Lu Zhang couldn't help being dumbfounded. What's wrong? Stretching his legs, stop the son who wants to run out. Feng Qingxiu did not answer him, but said to Zibao, Zibao, come and apply the incense. After applying the incense, mommy will bring you something delicious. As soon as he heard that there was something delicious, Zibao stopped, obediently closed his eyes and raised his face, letting his mother's soft and smooth hands wipe it all over his face. He rubbed the baby cream in his palms on his skin and massaged it gently. Moment. After Feng Qingxiu finished applying it, Zibao opened his eyes. It smells so good. Yes, Xiang, Feng Qingxiu used her fingertips to pick out a little of the baby skin cream she squeezed in from the bottle of Yashuan cream, and carefully rubbed it on his two chubby hands while wiping it. While rubbing, Zibao insists on washing his face and applying fragrance. He will still be a good, fat, and healthy baby in the future. Everyone will like it after seeing it. Lu Zhang couldn't help but said, insist on washing your face? We have to save water, wife. Feng Qingxiu gave him a blank look, thinking everyone was like him, taking a long time to take a shower. On the first night of living in the family home, while Zibao was asleep, she took out a tub of hot water from the space. Otherwise, Lu Zhang would have stunk so much now that the mud he rubbed out weighed a pound. Fortunately, I thought carefully and filled the empty bucket in the space before I came. Why didn't Lu Zhang understand the meaning in his wife's eyes? But not taking a shower is commonplace in plateau areas. So, he giggled twice, stretched out his arms to hold Zibao holding a toffee in his arms, and played with it for a while. The bonfire outside has been lit. Come on, son, let's go eat barbecue and watch the show. Meat. Meat, Zibao's eyes lit up. Wait, Feng Qingxiu stopped the father and son who were about to go out. Zibao has drank milk. I'll put a hat, scarf, and gloves on him. You eat something before going out. Eat less outside and let others eat more. Isn't it a shortage of supplies? If you take one less bite, others can take one more bite, it's that simple. Lu Zhang groaned and went to see the food Feng Qingxiu had prepared for him, a roast chicken that was still hot on the stove. He ate it quickly with Zibao on his back, and threw the chicken bones into the stove to destroy the corpse. He turned around and wiped his mouth. After rinsing his mouth, he still felt the smell of roasted chicken in his breath, so he simply brushed his teeth to solve the problem. You hold Zibao, and I'll get the things. After putting on a military coat, a Japanese hat, a large scarf and gloves, Feng Qingxiu picked up a large shoulder bag sewn with rags, which contained the 2 bottles of Maotai and lunch she bought today. Meat, yak jerky given by everyone, and a large bag of spiced peanuts that she prepared herself. The reason for preparing it for others was that she brought over the shelled peanuts and made them on the stove. What I brought out this time was roasted 5-spice peanuts, which can also be made using a kong. Just add seasonings and cook them before drying them on the kong. Last night Kain was stuck and couldn't finish writing until 12 o'clock, so I got up late. I will update 3 chapters first, and then update again around 10 o'clock, and continue to transform into a code machine. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 544. After going out, Feng Qingxiu remembered that Zibao needed to replenish water at all times. Ajiang, wait a minute, I'll get the kettle. Go back to the house and fill the military kettle with boiling water, which is the water stored in the space. The outside of the kettle is tightly wrapped with Zibao's quilt to prevent it from cooling too quickly after going out. Then the kettle is stuffed into the mesh bag together with the enamel jar. Another bag of potatoes was packed. Zibao, who saw the fire light inside and outside the camp, was already anxious. Mom, hurry, hurry. It's coming, why are you in a hurry? Mother. Come on, come on. I don't know who can be so impatient. Piles of bonfires lit up the night sky, and groups of soldiers sat around the bonfires. Artistic soldiers shuttled among them, singing and dancing. Different from the performances on the stage, which were replaced by another program after one program, now the entire cultural troupe was dispatched, spreading among the bonfires, singing and dancing for the group of soldiers closest to them. At that time, the army followed the 3-3 system, with squads, platoons, companies, battalions, regiments, brigades, divisions, and corps increasing in order. The platoon is arranged around a bonfire. There are about 30 people in a platoon, usually 32 or 3 people. Even if you exclude the soldiers on duty everywhere, there are still thousands of bonfires and cooking utensils on the vast land. The workers were busy baking food, and the bright red fire shone on everyone's face. The black and red skin was clearly visible, and the vicissitudes of life were everywhere. Zibao has always been the center of attention. As soon as Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu's family of 3 appeared, the commander patted the place next to him and said, come on, Xiao Lu, bring Zibao over here with your wife. The cook is roasting the leg of lamb. The fat is dripping and the aroma is permeating, which is very tempting. Zibao's saliva immediately flowed out. He pointed at the roasted leg of lamb and shouted, meat! Meat! As he said this, he stretched half of his body toward the fire, impatient. Zibao, don't reach out. The meat is not yet cooked. When the meat is cooked, Daddy will ask the cook uncle to cut a big piece for you. After greeting the leaders present, Lu Zhang hugged his son tightly and sat down. Sitting down on the spot, he sandwiched him between his legs. Feng Qingxiu sat next to him and placed the things he brought at his feet. Big meat, Zibao said. Yes, big chunks of meat. Zibao stood obediently, staring at the roasted leg of lamb. He wanted to put his fingers in his mouth, but found that he had gloves on his hands. He reached out to Feng Qingxiu anxiously, no. No. Feng Qingxiu had no choice but to take it off for him and put it in the pocket of her coat to prevent him from throwing it into the fire. Ye Zhenjun and the commander said in unison, Zibao, come to Grandpa. Grandpa will give you delicious food. After saying that, the two of them looked at each other. You glared at me and I stared at you, as if asking why you said the same thing as me. Before they could finish expressing what they meant in their eyes, they quickly turned to look at Zibao and towards him. Stretch out your hand. Zibao let out a cry, looked at Ye Zhenjun, looked at the commander, turned around, threw herself into Lu Jiang's arms, and said loudly, Dad. He called out affectionately several times and kissed Lu Jiang's chin several times. Then, he turned around, pointed at Lu Jiang and said to Ye Zhenjun and the commander, Dad, Dad, my dad. The generals sitting around the campfire burst into laughter. Smart guy, what a smart guy. You have a wink at such a young age. How can you handle it when you grow up? So smart. Not simple. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 545. Hearing everyone praising Lu Zibao one after another, Bai Shui, who was sitting next to Su Junlin, seemed to have a fire burning in her heart, a raging flame composed of jealousy and resentment. She raised her eyes to look at Feng Qingxiu, only to see her sitting with Lu Zhang like a little bird. Lu Zhang took out potatoes from the net bag beside her, buried them in the fire, and said with a smile, "It would be great if there were fresh sweet potatoes." Although roasted potatoes are soft and delicious and can be used as a staple food, sweet potatoes are soft and sweet when cooked. They are Lu Jiang's favorite food. During the war, he relied on the sweet potatoes supported by his fellow villagers in winter to satisfy his hunger. "You are looking forward to Shu?" Feng Qingxiu said as she took out mutai wine, lunch meat, and a cloth bag containing spiced peanuts, and asked Lu Zhang to take it over and let everyone grab a handful to eat first. "Our hometown has grown a lot of peanuts this year, and every household has grown a lot of peanuts. I divided some and peeled the shells and brought them over. I made them on the Kong today. Come on, comrades, you can try them as a side dish." At that time, Zibao fell into the commander's arms and was licking the yakham that the commander gave him. "The baby teeth are not strong enough and cannot bite, so I have to lick them." Lu Zhang stood up and started with the commander carrying the bag. After the commander grabbed it, it was the turn of the corps commander and division commander below. When it came to Sujunlin, he said, "Commander Su, grab more." When Sujunlin grabbed 2 more handfuls, he skipped Bai Shui and came to Zhao Yang. After everyone had grabbed them, he returned to his original position. Bai Shui was so angry that her face turned pale. Sujunlin was unaware. After eating a peanut, he handed the peanuts in his pocket to his young wife and said with a smile, "Comrade Qingxiu's craftsmanship is very good, try it." "I won't eat it," Bai Shui refused without hesitation. As soon as the words came out with a little anger, Bai Shui. She noticed Sujunlin's surprised expression, her heart trembled, and she forced out a smile. "You like drinking, I'll leave it to you to drink and eat." In a hurry, she grabbed the wine Sujunlin bought her from her pocket. "High-grade toffee, I'll just eat this, I like to eat toffee." When Sujunlin heard this, the surprise on his face disappeared. "Okay, if you like it, I'll buy it for you after you finish it." Bai Shui hummed and lowered her head. The firelight shone on her face, coupled with the irresistible red bloodshot. It looked very red and delicate, as if she was shy. Sujunlin looked happy, but she didn't know that Bai Shui was very disgusted in her heart. She very much hoped that the person buying toffee for her was not Sujunlin, but Lu Zhang, a young, handsome and promising Lu Zhang. Thinking of Lu Zhang, Bai Shui couldn't help but raised her head again, only to see Lu Zhang taking out a roasted potato, tossing it several times regardless of how hot it was, and then peeled it and handed it to Feng Qingxiu, who smiled. Yingying accepted it calmly. While accepting, she naturally ordered Lu Zhang to open the wine, pour wine for the leaders present, open the luncheon meat, and pushed it to Zhao Yang. Before she finished reading, Bai Shui heard Sujunlin say, "Comrade Bai Shui, today is New Year's Day. It's rare for everyone to get together. You can sing a song for everyone to cheer up and make everyone happy." The artistic soldiers of the art troupe were all performing for the soldiers, and even Commander Bai went into battle in person. If Bai Shui hadn't married Sujunlin and sat by the bonfire as Sujunlin's revolutionary comrade, she would have been singing and dancing for the soldiers just like them. Will update again around 10:30. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 546. Sujunlin's words fell, and before Bai Shui could react, the commander raised his head and said, "Yes, yes, listening to the songs of the art soldiers around me and listening to our soldiers singing along, my blood is boiling. Comrade Bai Shui, take out the come on, use your expertise and give us all a voice." Bai Shui had no choice but to stand up and clear her throat. "Then I will sing The East is Red for everyone." "Well. Dongfang Hong. The generals present applauded in unison. Feng Qingxiu secretly felt funny. The soldiers held a party and everyone was singing. Whether they were from the art troupe or the border guards, why did Bai Shui look so forbearing and aggrieved? Do you think everyone regards her as an actress? However, singing to the border soldiers is a very honorable thing. As long as you have integrity and devote yourself to studying art, you are an artist and worthy of everyone's respect. The east is red, the sun is rising, China has a. Bai Shui does have a good voice, and she sang particularly beautifully. When she finished singing, she received a round of applause and applause. Even Zibao also cheered, okay. The little one is so cute that he was rewarded with a piece of tender mutton from the cook. The lamb leg was roasted, and the aroma penetrated everyone's nostrils. The cook sliced off the meat on the surface, selected a tender piece of meat from the inside, blew it to cool and handed it to Zibao. Zibao stuffed the yak jerky in his hand into the commander's mouth, reached out to take the mutton, and nodded, thank you. After he could speak, Feng Qingxiu would teach him to say thank you every time he fed him or dressed him or brought him something. Over time, it became ingrained in him, and he would naturally say thank you to the person who gave him food and food. No one dislikes well-mannered children, especially one so young. He looks good, talks like a child and is cute. Everyone praised Zibao one after another. At this moment, Bai Shui suddenly faced Feng Qingxiu and said, Comrade Feng Qingxiu, you see we are the only two lesbians here. I have already sung it. Why don't you perform it for everyone, program? Lu Jiang's eyes suddenly flashed with a cold light, almost as cold as a knife blade. Feng Qingxiu pressed his hand to stop him from speaking, and smiled directly at Bai Shui, Comrade Bai Shui, I am different from you. What's the difference? Bai Shui said unconvinced. When lesbians talked, male comrades always kept their mouths shut. Even if the commander, Ye Zhenjun and others frowned, even Su Junlin whispered Bai Shui's name. I am a family member of Lujiang. I brought my children to the army to visit relatives. I am honored to attend the army's bonfire banquet tonight on New Year's Day. Feng Qingxiu had a faint smile on her face and her voice was calm and calm. Slow, neither high nor low, and not as angry as everyone imagined. As for Comrade Bai Shui, you are a member of the art troupe. Your duty is to express condolences to the border soldiers for the country, to use singing and dancing to boost everyone's morale, and to relieve tension. Everyone's pressure adds a bright brilliance to the hard training career. Well said. Isn't this the purpose of establishing the art troupe 10 years ago? The coal mine art troupe in the early years even received the care and support of the national leaders. The commander spoke, and others stopped echoing. Although 10 years have passed, every artist in the art troupe must not forget their true responsibilities. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 547. Bai Shui's face was a mixture of green and white. It was dark, the firelight reflected it, and the red bloodshot streaks on her face made it look inconspicuous. Su Junlin felt that his wife's suggestion was too indecent, so he reached out and touched her legs and feet. Comrade Bai Shui, sit down after you finish singing. The mutton is just roasting. You can try Chef Liao's craftsmanship. He learned it from the old Tibetan people skill. Bai Shui sat down angrily. Considering Lu Jiang's future crisis, Feng Qingxiu took good care of Su Junlin's face. After all, Bai Shui's suggestion was to embarrass Su Junlin, and Su Junlin would definitely not be happy with it, so she smiled and said to the commander, Comrade Commander, although I am not a member of the art troupe, but I have a heart that loves the motherland and cares for the border soldiers. Since Comrade Bai Shui proposed this, it seems a bit embarrassing for me not to sing. Now I kindly ask Comrade Commander to allow me to sing for everyone. The commander smiled and said, okay, I agree. Decades from now, young people with a little bit of qualifications have all become my BA. Who can't sing a few classic old songs? The children of the scholarly family have been influenced by classical music to some extent. Feng Qingxiu can also sing operas that the elders like. After living with Ansu, she also received some guidance on music from Ansu. In this regard, Feng Qingxiu is a person with solid foundation. Although the foundation is not deep, it is enough to cope with the current situation. Because she was a military wife, Feng Qingxiu had carefully checked the information in the space, picked out the famous songs one by year, and copied them into a large book, so as not to accidentally hum songs that were not available yet. Tune. As the sun sets and the red clouds fly over the western mountains, the soldiers return to the camp from target practice, and return to the camp. Feng Qingxiu's beautiful and clear singing voice floated in the sky, and those who heard it were stunned. This voice is one of the best even in the art troupe. Lu Zhang looked proud, but in his heart he remembered Bai Shui's provocation to his wife. The red flowers on my chest reflect the colorful clouds, and the happy songs are flying all over the sky. Feng Qingxiu covered her heart with her hands, her bright eyes shining with perseverance, praising us for singing well, praising us for our marksmanship. First, it lingers in everyone's heart and cannot be forgotten for a long time. Good. Okay, okay. Compared to Bai Shui's reaction after singing, there were more cheers and applause, one after another. Su Junlin's face looked better than before and he kept cheering. It's embarrassing, Feng Qingxiu laughed. No, no, it's definitely not a show of embarrassment. It's beyond everyone's expectation. Comrade Qingxiu. After Ye Zhenjun finished speaking, he turned to Lu Zhang and said, "This song has only been sung for a few years. It was you who taught Comrade Qingxiu, right?" "I can't tell, Lu Zhang, you are so talented. Since you can teach such good students, why don't you open your voice when everyone sings?" Feng Qingxiu hurriedly said, "He didn't teach me." Our Lu Zhang shouts slogans with a very high voice. Don't make it difficult for him when he sings. "Commander Ye, I have heard Brother Anbang sing this song several times. Come back and learn." Zhao Anbang had a very good voice, and he missed his military career very much. He often took Zibao around to have fun, humming military songs non-stop, and all the children at home learned from him. This song has the highest chance of appearing, otherwise Feng Qingxiu would not choose this song. After all, she has to arrange a learning channel for the songs she sings. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 548. When Zhao Anbang was mentioned, everyone present immediately sighed. Who doesn't know the reason why Zhao Anbang changed his career? Who doesn't know Zhao Anbang's physical condition? Although Zhao Anbang did not spend much time in the southwest military region, they will not forget the blood shed by every soldier. Cook Liao interjected, "Sister-in-law sings so well. Apart from Zibao, I will be the first to give my roasted mutton to my sister-in-law." As he spoke, he sliced a large plate of mutton in the best part and handed it to Zhao Yang, who was closest to him. Zhao Yang passed it to Lu Zhang. Lu Zhang placed it in front of Feng Qingxiu. Feng Qingxiu said happily, "Thank you, Comrade Cook. Zibao, come here, Mom, there's a lot of meat here." Zibao hasn't finished eating the meat in his hand, but it doesn't stop his eyes from shining. "Mom, meat," Zibao yelled and started running, abandoning the commander who was chewing yak jerky. When they arrived, Zibao gave Feng Qingxiu the mutton covered in saliva. Mom, eat," but his eyes were staring at the meat on the plate, and he reached out to grab it, saying that he liked the new and disliked the old. "Don't know what to say." "Hot." "Don't burn it," Lu Zhang grabbed his arm with quick eyes and hands. "It's hot," Zibao said. "Yes, it's very hot, very hot." After Feng Qingxiu finished speaking, she pinched a piece of mutton, blew it to cool down, and put it in his hand. Based on the courtesy of giving priority to ladies, Cook Liao handed the next plate to Su Junlin, and then served the mutton one by one from the commander down, and chopped the 2 mutton legs cleanly. Feng Qingxiu borrowed some sauce from him and brushed it on the potato slices that Lu Zhang peeled and cut with a dagger. When eating barbecue, what matters is the atmosphere. But the senior generals in the army could not sit still all the time. After drinking a few sips of wine, eating a handful of peanuts and a few pieces of mutton, they stood up one after another and walked towards the soldiers who were immersed in the festive celebrations. Lu Zhang also followed. He could not ignore his soldiers. Before leaving, he said to Feng Qingxiu, "Sit still and don't leave, otherwise I won't be able to find you when I come back." "I know, go ahead, don't be the last." Feng Qingxiu handed him the bag of leftover peanuts that everyone had eaten. "Don't just think about eating alone, even though it's not much, talk to your heart's content." After Lu Zhang left, only Feng Qingxiu and Bai Shui were left by the bonfire. "Don't be too proud," Bai Shui whispered. Feng Qingxiu opened her military coat and wrapped the sleepy Zibao, smiled slightly, and responded in a low voice unceremoniously, "Comrade Bai Shui, you are now a close comrade of Commander Su. Please have some self-awareness. Don't think that others will see it. Without any clues, you can target me unscrupulously. I don't care about you, just for the sake of Mr. Su. Who do you think is the unlucky person? If Mr. Su knows about you, it's not me. You have ulterior motives, so what do you think will happen to you?" Bai Shui's face turned pale. "You. Comrade Bai Shui, let me give you a piece of advice. The cause will produce the result. You choose the path yourself. No one forces you. If you don't agree, you won't die. At most, you will be depressed. But if you agree, it means that in your heart, glory and wealth prevail, so you have to continue on this path and don't act like a victim. Feng Qingxiu, if it weren't for you, even without me, you would still choose this path. My Ajiang would not fall in love with any cats or dogs. Moreover, you know very well in your heart what kind of choice is most beneficial to you." Feng Qingxiu did not hesitate. Pull the fig leaf off her face. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 549. Bai Shui's eyes flickered and her expression changed. Feng Qingxiu saw it in her eyes and sneered, "Comrade Bai Shui, in this life, you not only have to be self-aware, but you also have to have a face. No matter how hard you cultivate your face, it can't become an iron wall. I want to tear it off, it's so easy. I'm leaving my words here. Whoever dares to covet my husband or continue to disgust me in front of me, I will definitely make her die." Immediately afterwards, she said, "Comrade Bai Shui, don't try to use your power to oppress others. If someone in our family has a problem, I will definitely remember it on your head. It doesn't matter if you borrow power, I can still control you. Get off the horse. You'd better remember my words and don't turn a deaf ear to them. I have everything you have, but you may not have it. You can be a bad guy, and I can also become a Shura. Perhaps, if you strike first, you may knock down our family first, but I can drag you into trouble. The biggest reason why you target our family is because you want to silence our family, and I can also do it. Weaving your charges in turn, style is very important, Comrade Bai Shui. Even if you can escape for a while, you won't be able to escape forever." Speaking of this, Feng Qingxiu thought for a while and said briskly, "Maybe I can prepare for the future now. What should I do?" "Well, just write down Comrade Bai Shui's actions in a letter in detail and hand it to leave it to a soldier in the army. I won't open it for now, but if something happens to our family, please ask him to hand this letter over to the army." Bai Shui blurted out, "You can't do this. In that case, her life will be ruined, and she will also face the anger of the Su family, and will also implicate her parents, brothers, and sisters-in-law. No one knows the importance of power and a man's face better than her. The army commander who married Hao Xiaomei had an affair with his ex-wife. Although Commander Wu didn't say anything at the time and instead let his ex-wife go free, Bai Shui knew that the man who had an affair with his ex-wife died not long after, and his death was extremely miserable. His ex-wife went crazy on the spot. Now, he is still crazy and is locked up in a lunatic asylum. Whether he is really crazy or fake, Bai Shui has no way of knowing. Feng Qingxiu clicked her tongue twice. There is no way, I have to nip it in the bud, there are tigers and wolves surrounding us. Even if I die, I have to let the people who harmed us follow us to hell. I can't sit back and wait for death. By then, it will be too late to fight back. If I hadn't been worried about Mr. Su's face, I would probably have eradicated it now. What do you think, Comrade Bai Shui? What should I do? Prepare, or take action now. Bai Shui could clearly see the fierceness and could not help but shudder. People without self-awareness are often self-centered, treating themselves as treasures and treating others as pigs and leprous. They dare not take their own lives and futures as bets. Even if they really want to harm others, they only want to protect themselves. Premise. Bai Shui, who was not too bold in the first place, finally softened her attitude and whispered, Don't worry, I don't have any thoughts about Brigadier Liu. Really, please believe me. Not at all. I am married to Mr. Su now, and of course I want to live a good life with Mr. Su. If there is a lie in what I say, then God will strike me like lightning. This is right, this is the thinking of a normal person. Feng Qingxiu followed with a soft smile, which made people feel like a spring breeze. Then I'll wait and see. Threat, who wouldn't? Who doesn't have a weakness? Sitting back and waiting for death is the stupidest way. Our heroine will not let anyone be cruel. Chapter 9 today, please vote. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 550. Encountering a ruthless character with ruthless means, he hit his weak spot, and the fantasy in Bai Shui's heart finally turned into ashes. Without her deliberate provocation, the atmosphere instantly became much better. The biting cold wind blew, and Feng Qingxiu felt refreshed. The commander and Commander Su were the first to come back. Seeing this scene, Su Junlin smiled and said, Comrade Bai Shui, what are you and Comrade Qingxiu talking about? What a coincidence, they both have the word snow in their names, they have the same talent and talent. Seeing their figures, Feng Qingxiu had already stood up with Zibao in her arms. On the other hand, Bai Shui was either too young to think of this, or she had no elders to teach her this etiquette. After listening to Su Junlin's words, she sat there without moving. She raised her head and smiled at him. I didn't expect that. I admire Comrade Shui for singing so beautifully and feel that Brigadier Liu is very lucky. Seeing his little wife's smiling face, Su Junlin laughed heartily. You're right, Xiao Lu is very lucky, 11 Bao is so cute. If his wife gives birth to such a fat boy next year, he will be crazy about it. When Zibao was mentioned, the commander lowered his voice, Comrade Qingxiu, Zibao has fallen asleep. It's so fast. The temperature difference between morning and night is huge in the plateau area, and it is extremely cold at night. You two, please stop blowing the wind here. Xiao Lu will send you back to rest. Speaking of Cao, Cao is here. Lu Zhang came up empty-handed. Although he didn't hear what the commander said, he said to his wife after greeting Commander Su Junlin, Qingxiu, I'll change defenses with the soldiers on duty and let them have fun. Hey, I'll take you and Zibao home first. Okay, Feng Qingxiu finished saying goodbye to the commander and Su Junlin. Bai Shui didn't dare to take another look at Lu Zhang, for fear of meeting Feng Qingxiu's eyes that were as cold as ice and snow. At this moment, she finally realized that not everyone is Hao Xiaomei, not everyone is concerned about the power they can cling to, and not everyone can tolerate their own petty thoughts. Feng Qingxiu noticed Bai Shui's knowledge and pursed her mouth under the scarf with satisfaction. Such a person is a mean person and has a weak bone. He will not stop until she is frightened. Otherwise, the more you ignore her, the more she will think you are afraid of her and become even more unscrupulous. Feng Qingxiu did not show any anger towards Lu Zhang as the culprit. When she got home, she put Zibao on the Kong, took out a mink jacket from the space and handed it to Lu Zhang. How many pieces have Hu Ping sent in the past 2 years, mink? I only made a mink hat for Zibao, and the rest made a fur jacket and leather trousers for you. You can wear them before going out. Lu Zhang quickly took off his cotton padded jacket and trousers, put on his leather jacket and leather trousers, and then put on the military uniform and military coat outside. Good guy, he is indeed one of the 3 treasures of the Northeast. He is much warmer than the cotton padded jacket and trousers. It's a pity that you can't wear it out during the day to avoid being discovered. Feng Qingxiu took out another pair of 5i cotton shoes with a 1000-layer sole. They looked inconspicuous, but they actually had something inside. They were made of black striped velvet cloth inside lambskin, with new cotton wadding in the middle. If you have time in the past 2 days, ask me. I asked Xiao Wang about his size in the store and gave him a pair of shoes. Han Ping and Sang Hong also gave Zibao a lot of high-priced products. Lu Zhang couldn't help but nodded, his heart full of warmth. I understand, you have a good rest, watch Zibao carefully, and don't beat him up tonight. I'm leaving first. If you go a step earlier, they can come down early to warm themselves by the fire. Let me update 1 chapter first and tell you that we will continue tonight. It's the 10th chapter. Please vote. I've reached over 40 monthly votes. Keep up the good work, dear.